Hi there, this is Talon on TAKP. I got a request for a video, a tutorial video on organizing a spellbook, which was kind of convenient since my nephew, Nelik Serenia, his shaman was his first caster character on this game, and he just added all of his spells one at a time, you know, from level 1 without really any organization. Shamans have a lot of spells. He never deleted anything out of his book, and he asked me not to delete anything out of his book. So, so I went and spent, I don't know, maybe a half hour putting his spells in a useful order. I'm not super familiar with endgame shaman, so I had him write me a list of the things that he really needed. First thing I did was I took all of his lowest level spells, the ones that I didn't think he'd need. I left him his quick cast aggro stuff. Tainted Breath I left on there. Drowsy I left up there. Sicken I left pretty close to the top. But I took all of his spells that he doesn't need, and I threw him straight to the back of the book. He's got higher level versions of these spells, and he's got quicker casting lower level versions. So I just kind of got rid of all the fluff and put it at the back of the book. And then I took all of his other spells and put them in order of, I don't know. I started with his main heals, his big regrowth, his most important buffs, his most used buffs, that is. And that took up about 4 pages. Started getting into utility spells. Turns out shaman don't have a lot of utility spells, so that only took about 4 pages at level 60. And then after that I went into his offensive spells and you know, dispel, debuffs, slows, roots, dots, and direct damages. I'm not positive which one of these poison spells are direct damages. He doesn't use his ice direct damage, but he should. I left Blizzard Blast up there because it was his highest level 1. I think the only thing he's really missing is Chloroblast, which he doesn't have faction to buy, so I need to buy him a copy of it. So, so I think I got him pretty set up here. These last couple pages, you know, not super important spells. I don't even know what Vision does. I left his lowest level summon pet as a Dumbfire, which I don't know if he pulls with Dumbfire pets, but I left it up there for him anyways. Each class is going to be very different from each other, and everybody plays their classes a little bit differently, so every spellbook is going to be set up in their own way, and this one's probably not optimum, but it's definitely better than the order that he had stuff in, which was in order of level and purchase, you know, whichever one he bought first, whichever one he scribed first was the order that was in. Better example would be my druids, which, you know, he uses my druid occasionally, and he said the first time he opened up my druid's book, he was like shocked that everything was in order. Like, he said he didn't even like that everything was in order. Here, before I move on to the order of my other guy, I just want to show you some macros that I made for quickly adjusting his spellbook. Like I said, a level 60 tune with no order in their spellbook took me about a half hour to adjust everything where I thought it should go. And again, I'm not very familiar with this class, but what I ended up doing is I made a book top and a bookend macro. Slash book 1 to take me to page 1, and slash book 32, I think, to take me to the last page. So what I did is I basically hit the top of the book, got a useless spell, hit the bottom of the book, place the useless spell, and I just did that over and over again until I got all the crap I didn't need out from the beginning of the book. And then as I went down the line, I just adjusted these two macros to the pages that I was working on. So after I filled up my first page, then I adjusted this to book 3 or book 4, either way. So then I was on to the next page of the book, the next 2 pages of the book. And when I filled up the back slot with useless spells, then I backed up the page that I was working with. So then I was working on my 3rd page, I was working on my 29th page. And the same thing when I finished filling up this one and filling up the last one. Just moved them over 2 spaces. And then I could quickly hop between the next couple pages. Filled up the crap, filled up the useful stuff, changed them again. And eventually I finished filling up the book. He's got nothing in between all these levels, all his useless junk he can go through in the back. He can keep what he wants and move it back with the rest of his spells, and he can delete the crap he doesn't need. And oh my gosh, do I hope he deletes the crap he doesn't need. So that's pretty much the easiest way I found to adjust your book, is to use these /book commands to turn to specific pages in the book and have hot buttons ready to switch between the 2 pages. So going on to one of my characters, druids are a jack of all trades. They've got a shitload of spells. So when I was first putting my druid's spellbook together, the first thing I did is I popped out to as many pages as I thought I needed. And I think I had to move it once when I was leveling. I think I started at like level 10 or started at page 10 or something. I needed to move it down 1 eventually. But pretty much I took all of my port spells, and you'll notice I don't have any of the self port spells, just the group versions. I immediately started putting them at the end of the book. I put knowledge first because it's the most common port I'm going to be using, and then I put all the classic stuff together. I spaced out the Canarch stuff. The next page I got all the Velius stuff, and on the last page I got all of my Luklin stuff. Back up to the top of the book, I got my 2 most used spells, my Druid Complete Heal, the Quick Heal. I keep Nature's Touch at the top of here, but with its, it's a mid-range heal, between the Complete and the Quick Heal. It's got a mid-range cast time. I prefer Chloroblast for the Quick Heal because I can get them off so quick. And usually when somebody's calling for quick heals, a lot of people are hitting them. Got regens, speed buffs, remove curses and poisons and diseases. I think I set up Melik pretty similar, where I've got all my cures just after my heals. AC and HP buffs, damage shield, pretty much just the stuff that goes at the top of my spell bar is on the beginning of my book. I usually leave my ports and my evacs at the bottom of the book, or at the bottom of my spell gems. After I get through the most important stuff, the stuff I put up first, then I get into my resists, I get into my stat buffs, and some utility, Enduring Breath, Levitator if you have the higher version of these spells, See Invisible, and all my invis spells. From there, I moved on to my offensive spells, so I finish up with my normal utility stuff, and I usually always start my spell book with Cancel Magic, just because it's, when you need it, it's the first thing you need to cast on a mob. Got my snares and roots, single and group versions, got my fire debuffs, fire spells, dots, ice for specific bosses, After that, it's area of effect spells. I don't think I need frost up here. I think ice would be a better choice because it's a fire debuff, but it just had space in the book and filled in the lines. Last thing I got here are really niche spells. I got my charming spells, I got my dumbfire pet spell, and I got my dismiss summon lines. The last couple pages before I get to my ports are even more niche. Some of these spells I use for power leveling, like the lower level group regen, lower level heal, harmony, which is a low level area of effect, pacify. We got a tree form that I never use, an alternate version of the mask spell. This one you can cast only outdoors, so I keep the other version ready to go. Stalker's up here. Gate, bind affinity, this is stuff that I don't use that often. When I do, it's usually just for a single pull, like pulling Finny or something like that, where I want to have a gate within the zone, or if I need to, you guys know how to use gate. I don't need to explain any of that stuff. But yeah, this whole last page before my ports is just stuff I use every once in a while. This includes a fire debuff, so I keep it by my Sundering. The bad thing about Sundering is because it's got an extra stat on it, I think it overwrites Smoldering Disjunction, which is a higher level version of the spell pretty much. All this stuff is fluff. I never use any of these. I guess I could use these for power leveling. Share Form of the Great Wolf is a niche spell that I actually still use every once in a while. Put that over here. My Beast Lord. For my Beast Lord spellbook, what I did with both of my Beast Lords is I kind of waited a little bit to organize them because they go through spells so quick and they've only got about half to a third of the spells that a normal caster class has. I assume it's the same with most hybrids. So I put my most important top of the spell bar spells first in the book, just like on the druid, just like on his shaman. I got Savagery, SP, Alacrity, my haste. These guys are usually taking my top slots. All these buffs are mostly for my pet, unless I need some extra AC or something. I don't really use the heals so much, so I don't have them ready to go. So my first page of the book, or my first 2 pages of the book, are just what's normally on my spell bar, or what I need on my spell bar if I'm buffing before I switch to going on the offensive. Then I include, just like on Nelix, I include my cancel magic first. Actually, I might switch all these over. You can see I included some low-level spells. That's because they are aggro generating and they're quick cast. I don't really use Drowsy, but Tainted Breath is a spell I use all the time just because it's so low mana cost. I can chain cast it and keep aggro. On the rare occasion that I'm actually tanking a mob for our raids, like Dozakur, I guess is one that I've done, or Rumble Crush, then I'll switch on some defensive gear, and sometimes I won't even attack, so I don't need riposte damage. So what I'll do is I'll just either look at them or turn my back to the mob if they don't backstab, and just chain cast Tainted Breath. I won't run out of mana, and I can keep aggro all day. So, like I said, every class is different. You're going to want to base your spellbook however you find the most useful. Nelk is probably going to change up his order stuff a little bit, but I think I put it in a much better place than he had it when I started fucking with it. Honestly, I organized this a little bit in the end as I was going to, but this is pretty much how the book looked when I started looking through it. Like, they weren't really organized in any discernible order. They were just there. Very hard to find a spell. So what you really want to do is organize them by spell type and use. And I guess that's the bottom line. Hope this helps, and yeah, good luck with your books.